Hey, what's up my friends? Welcome back to Project Unchained. Let's talk about fear today. We're going to expand on last week's video and talk about fear. What is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Last video we talked about a couple of things. If you haven't watched that, make sure to check it out. Two big things that I really wanted to highlight again from that video. Truth versus belief. A truth exists whether you believe in it or not. A belief requires you to say yes to it for it to exist, for it to be present in your life. If you say no to that belief, it ceases to exist. It is no longer a thing in your life at all, not a consideration. And there's a couple universal truths in our life. One of those main universal truths is that at one point in time, every single life on this planet, whether it be an animal, a human, a plant, whatever, everything dies. Death is real. We cannot avoid it, we cannot escape it. Doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter how cool you are, how many Instagram likes, how many TikTok followers, none of that matters. Every single one of us will die at some point. And a lot of times we allow that fear to keep us from playing big, and it makes us play small, and we avoid a lot of things because of that fear. And it's really important to break that down, because there are some fears that are real and some fears that are fake. And that was part of the reason why I gave you that challenge last week too, in assessing where you're avoiding things in your life. Having an understanding where you're avoiding things in life can be really important and guide you to where you need to work on, things and areas that you need to lead into. Maybe you just needed to develop some skills that will allow you to lean into that a little more. Anyway, let's understand that there's a difference between like real fear and fake fear that's limiting. That doesn't mean that we can't fear something, but what I mean by that fake is that, again, it's false evidence appearing real. And it's creating a limitation in our life that isn't warranted, that doesn't need to be placing a limit on our life. So a real fear, for example, would be if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you don't have a parachute on, there's no bungee cord, there's nothing to save you if you were to fall off the edge of that cliff. That's a real fear. You're going to be scared if you look over the edge and it's a couple hundred feet tall. Oh man, you're going to have a fear response. You cannot turn that off. That's real. It's a life preservation thing. It's hardwired into your limbic system. You cannot turn it off. Nobody can. Another one that's real is loud noises. Now, we might be able to not jump or be scared of a loud noise, but if you're not expecting it, if somebody fires off a loud noise behind you and you'd have no idea that that's about to happen, 10 times out of 10, you're jumping like, whoa, what was that? It's gonna scare you. That's a real fear. It's a protection mechanism. It's to save you. Whereas a fake fear is similar, but it tricks you. There's still that self-preservation aspect behind it, but it's not from a life or death standpoint. It's from some other preservation aspect, usually like a social preservation aspect that there is that fear, because there is a lot of ideas of strength in numbers and things of that nature. We're social beings and social creatures. We desire connection with other people. So a common one that I can relate to, because it definitely created a lot of limitations in my life, was not going to talk to the girl. Right? You see somebody across the room, you're like, oh, they're kind of cute. Oh no, what happens? What if I go try and talk to this person and they don't want to talk to me? And we have that fear of rejection. Why? We have to understand, we have to ask ourselves questions to be able to break that down. Otherwise, we're not going to get to the point where we realize that it's false evidence. It's the thing that's appearing real to us. For me, it was a defense mechanism born from my youth. Right? Anybody that's followed along with my story knows that I got bullied and picked on a lot. So a lot of my response to that was through people-pleasing tendencies, to try to have people to like me, because I was lonely and tired of being rejected. I was lonely and tired of being the butt of people's jokes and being picked on and bullied. And it sucked. It was no fun for me. So that definitely really gripped me for a long time. Did that really serve me in that moment? No. Did it add value to the situation? No, it just limited it. It just kept me playing small, and I'd shrink and avoid living life rather than embrace it and let the uncertainty be the thing that it is. I think another common one that I experienced as well was not asking for a raise at a job. And I realized I didn't ask for that raise because job security and a sense of self-worth. What was interesting, an experience I had at a former employment when I was in that state. My boss asked me something in private one time, and I finally had the courage to speak my truth and speak my mind and speak how I was perceiving the way things were being run in the company and who was being compensated what seemed fairly and unfairly. And it was amazing because I finally spoke that truth, and the next day I went in and I had a $6 an hour raise. Whoa, man, if I wouldn't have let that fear dictate me for so long, how much more money could I have made over the years had I spoke my truth sooner? That's important. So we have to understand and ask ourselves, does this fear serve me? No, it's false evidence appearing real. And that false evidence appearing real is creating a limitation on my life. What can I do to lean into that? What can I do to break that figurative chain and break free from that self-limiting thought? What can I do? Because at the end of the day, nobody's gonna do it for you. You gotta learn how to do that for yourself. I had to learn how to do that for myself. And the thing is, the way I look at it, the way I believe, if I can learn how to do that, so can you. Because man, being super transparent and honest and vulnerable here, like I was very weak. There were so many times and so many years of my life that I played to appease everybody else around. We don't need to. It was a defense mechanism. And as we generate that sense of self-worth and we cultivate that sense of belonging within us, we stop playing small and we start doing the things. We start leaning into it. We stop avoiding that false evidence appearing real. Now, there might be some times where we can assess that and we can say, does this fear serve me? Yes. How? We have to ask ourselves, how does it serve me? We need to be able to make sure, how does it serve you? What benefit does it bring and add to your life and add to the unfolding of your experience of life? Sometimes it's real. Sometimes we do want to withdraw. I know there are still times in my life when I assess that and I look at that and I'm like, okay, I know that I want to keep my social circle small, like my core. And I think that's important to keep your tight core, like family, friends, like it's okay to be tight to that. It's okay to keep that small and keep that limited, regardless of whether you say yes or no. What's really important is to understand what it is, that fear, that false evidence appearing real, and assess it and ask ourselves, like, what is it bringing to my life? What value is adding to my life? And if it's not bringing value to me, what can I do to break away from it? And that's your challenge for today. Thinking back to that assessment of where you're avoiding things in your life. Why? What is the false evidence behind that avoidance? What kind of strategy can you develop to break free from that, to reduce its limitation and get rid of its existence so that you can go out and live a strong, joyful, meaningful life? That's why we're here. That's why you found this video and you're watching this right now, is so that you can break free from those figurative chains. So if anything comes up during that and you need some support, reach out. Let's have a conversation about it. I'd love to be able to support you and help you out through that. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with some friends. I would definitely appreciate that. We can't do this work alone. That's why I like to ask for people to share it, because the more we all do this work together, the deeper we can go, the higher up we can elevate. Let's get unchained.